Where'd everybody go? Tommy, what'd you think? Carson, Andrew. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Door Bumper Clear. I'm Freddie Kraft, spotter for Bubba Wallace and Dean Thompson this week. A pair of 12th place finishes, I believe. So that was it's actually a pretty good weekend for me. How are you, Tommy?
I'm okay. I'm still here.
I know you went home this week. How was back home?
It was okay. It was a good race. Not enough green flag laps, but besides that, we ended up 10th. Got put to the back. I don't know why yet. Or we'll never know why.
You'll never know why.
But yeah, it was a good race.
Cool weekend for before we get to our other lovely host. Our family co-host. I just put it together. I know your dad made the top 40 greatest modified drivers in the last whatever in the history, I think, and also the 75 most impactful drivers. My dad also on the 75 for Riverhead list. So it's congratulations to you.
Yeah, thanks.
I got to see you hold the flag.
Yeah,
this
it was
week.
awesome.
Cool.
I wasn't expecting that. Yeah, it was a cool deal.
Yeah, and the Tiger is like he's always been the leader of the Long Island gang. I feel like
he took over after Charlie J passed away, but yeah.
But hi, Carson, how are you? Another exciting weekend for you.
Yeah, thankfully not too exciting on the racetrack or in the pits this week compared to Langley, but we had a great weekend at the Minis Mission 125. We hosted a bunch of families from Walter Reed's National Military Medical Center. They got to come experience the weekend with the Cars Tour and, see what all of our drivers do for a weekend. So after a weekend like that, it's not really about racing, it was about more than that. So it was cool. You always leave there feeling good.
Yeah, and our guest this week, I'm surprised we got him to leave Mexico. I thought he was going to apply for dual citizenship while we were down there.
He was liking it that much.
He was judging by his social media, he might have had more fun than anybody in Mexico. Matt Weaver, welcome to Door Bumper Clear.
Hola, mi amigos.
Oh boy, here we go.
No, I loved it. I'm glad to be here, though. Glad to be home. I did enjoy my stay, but there's no place like home.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest things I took away from it was, how good we have it here. Because while we talk about how nice, the area of Mexico City, I didn't venture out a whole lot. I kind of stayed at the hotel or went across the street to dinner one night. So I didn't really venture out to the city much because I know that I can be stupid when I'm in public and I don't need to add any problems to my list. But going to the racetrack, you can get an idea of how some of those areas, I was talking to Tommy about this earlier, and some of the, you tip somebody $20 and they're the most appreciative person on the planet, and then you kind of go back and see maybe where they live. Some of the areas like on the way to the racetrack are not so nice, and it makes you really appreciate coming home to what we have here.
Yeah, listen, the thing I would say is where we were near the Sheraton. I don't know where you guys were.
Yeah,
where
we
you
were
were.
At the Regency.
That was the hospitality. That is the economic center of Mexico City. They wanted to put on a good show for us. They had sweepers out at night. It is the safest part of town. But like you said, when you go to Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez and you have to go from the hotel to get there, there's a lot of sketchiness in between. And so, listen, I've said that it's a lot like going to Chicago. South Chicago is way different than North Chicago, Grant Park, where we were the last 2 years, where we're going to be in a couple of weeks. And I think it's like any major city, right? There's good and there's bad. But like you said, Freddie, it does make you really appreciate there's a lot of good here in the States.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And listen, we can jump right into Mexico. I know we were both there. Obviously, you guys probably watched on TV. Awesome venue. Awesome fans. The crowd was electric. The video, I keep seeing the video. I guess they hadn't lined up yet. I got out of there too fast. But the video of them high-fiving pretty much every team member as they left the garage on Saturday was awesome. And I thought the racing was really good, just at the track itself. Yeah,
so I'm sure there's a subset of the fans who will say, well, it wasn't a good race. The Cup race on Sunday, Shane won by 17 seconds. He was practically in Texas when everyone else crossed the line. I thought the racing was good. You look through the field, some of the battles. It's a really good layout circuit. We saw that 10 years ago or so. Sometimes you get an ass kicking, and I think we got that on Sunday, but the racing quality for both divisions was very good.
How did it look on TV as you guys get to? I know you might have been racing.
No,
did you go back and watch?
Yeah, actually, I watched it again last night just to recap on some stuff. But yeah, racing was good. SVG was just playing with everybody up until it was time to go. I'm sorry. I mean, everyone could say whatever they wanted, but he was just saving his stuff, saving his brakes, saving his car, and I mean,
it's still driving away.
I mean, it was 10 seconds in the last 12 laps he gained, something like that. So I mean, he was just toying with the 54 and the 20.
Yeah, for sure. And Matt, as far as the area, you went out and ventured out a lot more than I did. What was the area like around your hotel? And I think you even got a decent amount away from your hotel.
I did. Listen, I think the goal here is don't do stupid stuff, and I think that's true of any city. I didn't go too far. I would say the furthest I ventured out from the hotel, maybe a mile. Again, they keep that area safe intentionally, and I think knowing that NASCAR was in town, they wanted to put their best foot forward as well. I can't say it's like that all the time, but incredible restaurants, the colors of the city. Like, it is a very vibrant, very electric, neon, everything you think about Miami. There's a little bit of Miami into Mexico City. Great food, great people, super friendly. And like you said, the more you tip them, the friendlier they get.
I think it's a little Mexico in Miami. I think you got that backwards.
That's right.
You know, listen, like to your point, I stayed and had dinner at the hotel most of the time. There's a bar in the hotel, so I didn't really venture out
So why
much.
would you need to leave?
Yeah,
Freddie?
I really didn't need to at all. And it was a really nice place. Shout out to Alfredo on the 40th floor. You know, we did go to dinner one night, and it's to your point, it's nothing you don't see anywhere else. You know, the major, and to your point, there was issues. There wasn't all sunshines and rainbows through the weekends. There was some people that had issues, and the people that had issues were probably doing things that we were instructed not to do.
Yep.
For the most part, from what I understand. You know, so that you know, but that again happens anywhere. You know, we went to dinner, and one night we went to dinner. We walk outside. There's a group of spotters. And there is, for lack of a better term, a prostitute standing on the corner. And she followed us to dinner. And she was offering her services the whole way. And we had to keep telling her no.
Did you not bring her to dinner?
We didn't bring her to dinner. We didn't have an extra seat,
story?
unfortunately.
For a story, you didn't bring her to dinner.
But, you know.
Shame on you.
But that could happen in Vegas. You know what I
Right,
mean?
yeah.
I was sitting in the Oyster Pub one night having dinner with a bunch of guys, and somebody got shot outside. So, I mean, it's not like this is completely uncommon. You know, there was some stories of things that went on that weren't ideal. You know, when we got there, people had their bags gone through, and they were quote unquote taxed on some of the equipment they were bringing in, whether it was a spotter or some of the photographers. That wasn't probably very legit, but you know, that stuff didn't make me happy. But as far as the city overall, I don't think anybody that really, I know Gluck had a great time. I saw a bunch of our team guys were Ubering around to different restaurants, and you know, they were smart about it, took an Uber Black when they had to. But you know, I felt like as long as you were smart about it and kind of stuck to the guidelines that they gave us going into it, you really weren't any different than, like you said, being in Chicago or a place like St. Louis. You know, there was a damn shootout outside a team hotel in St. Louis a couple years ago. So I mean, it is what it is, and I know people were looking for things to nitpick, and there certainly there's small things that happened. You know, the truck convoy might have ran into a couple issues on the way down there, but it wasn't nothing that couldn't be handled, and nothing that really probably wouldn't happen in other cities.
They would say that you stick your pocket or your wallet in your side pocket, not your back pocket. Say no to the panhandlers. But really, if you just keep your wits about you, don't go into the dark alleyways. Make sure you're in well-lit areas at all time. It's just common sense stuff, right? Like, don't do dumb stuff, and dumb stuff won't happen to you.
Yeah, and if you were concerned about it, you could just be like me and just not leave the hotel. Like all the hotels were similar. I think they were all pretty much really nice upscale hotels. You know, we had 3 or 4 restaurants in ours, so you can go somewhere different every night. Like I said, there was multiple bars in there you could go to. So if you were even remotely concerned about venturing out, just don't do it. You didn't have to do it. But you know, for me, the biggest thing, it was just. The only nightmare of the trip for me was just the travel. And yes. I don't know, do you have to travel commercial?
I did,
yeah. But like the logistics of our travel just continued to get screwed up throughout the weekend. And it was mainly just the flights. My flight changed 3 or 4 times the day we were leaving, or the day before we were leaving. And then there are a lot of delays. You know, it's just if I never ride a bus again, that would be great. But you know, that's something that we have to do. You know, we're staying in the price you pay for staying in the nicer hotels is you're an hour away from the racetrack, so you got to ride a bus for 2 hours every day. But
can we talk about the driving in Mexico City?
It's insane.
I saw pictures of the traffic. Like, that's the craziest
there's
stuff
no
I've ever
rules.
seen.
I've
It's
come to
the
realize.
most functional chaos I have ever seen in my life. Like, the things that happen there should not work out, and they do.
We came up. We were in a bus, a charter, like a bus. You know, you would take, and we come up to a traffic circle. You know, with the old angel on top and stuff. It's a major traffic circle. Well, we get there, and my guy just goes left, like into the oncoming traffic. And you're like, what? What's going, instead of like just, everybody goes around in a circle? Nah, we're going this way. And we just sat there, let all the cars go around us because we're facing the wrong direction. And then once it opening, whoop, we just shot across.
And it seemed normal.
And there was like, no problem. We rolled up one time. There was the funniest thing I saw the weekend. The cop on a bike had a tractor trailer pulled over in the right lane. The cop is in the center lane yelling at the driver of the truck, tractor trailer. So our bus is coming up behind the cop on a bike, and I'm like, he knows he's got to move over, right? Nah, he rolls up to the back wheel of the bike, lays on the horn, and tells the cop to get out of his way, and the cop rolls out of the way. I'm like, what is going on here? But it was the dysfunctional chaos is definitely a good way to.
No, it's functional. It wasn't dysfunctional. Yeah,
it was.
It worked.
It was something. But food, no issues for you, right? I
don't drink the ice.
Don't drink the ice.
No water, no ice. Everything out of a can or a bottle. Again, just the things that they give you whenever you enter.
Yeah, it was. I felt like, again, I knock on wood, I didn't get sick at all. I drank enough alcohol to kill anything the last day that I might have been bringing home. I stayed away from the worm, but I definitely had my fair share of tequila and just tried to keep myself out of trouble.
They put a cricket on my taco.
I saw that the first night.
Yeah, I asked for. Well, they actually gave it to me for free because whatever I ordered, the steak, they didn't have it.
I think you can get a free cricket. Is okay.
Just about anywhere.
I'm from
Walk
Alabama,
outside.
so I told the guy, I'm like, this is what we use to catch our food. He's like, no, eat. And I ate it, and it gave it a little crunch, a little bit of flavor. It was good.
So now you're gonna eat them here?
No shot.
Different type of cricket.
No shot.
Different type of cricket.
Yeah.
I had to laugh. Two of the marketing people from 2311 were out. I saw their story the one night, and they had a shot glass with a scorpion.
And
they put the
They do that
scorpion on
around
top
here.
of it, and they poured the tequila over the scorpion to get the flavor of the scorpion into tequila, which is not something I've ever signed up for.
Aren't they poisonous?
Well, if you take the stinger off, you're okay. But so then they did. They pulled once they did the shot. They said, that was one thing. And then they said, all right, now pull the stinger off and eat it. And the two of them each took half of it and ate it. I was like, I think I'm going to stick to tacos this week.
You were really safe. You were doing safe all week.
Yeah, I was angel.
Besides the 3 bottles of tequila you
That was
drank.
probably
It's probably
five.
the most
five
Freddie's
over the
minded
weekend.
his manners in a while.
I just knew that I could get myself in a lot of trouble if I wanted to, and I knew to just keep myself in one building and stay sane, because I would have been the idiot in the Uber at 3:00 in the morning having a bad day or something like that. So I just knew to stay within my boundaries and behave myself for better terms. The other thing I want to talk about on here though was the radio situation.
Whatever came of that?
A lot. It's an interesting weekend. We all had to change frequencies. We all had to use, because we changed frequencies, some of our radios weren't even programmable for the higher frequency that we were using down there. So basically, I had to borrow radios. My team guys had to borrow radios off the truck. I borrowed some from Nick Payne, Red X Spotter. So my radios worked fine, but then the team guys did not work at all. So Bubba basically raced the whole race without a spotter in turn 1 and basically a part-time spotter in turn 9 for the choose. I saw multiple guys having issues with that. There's a lot of issues on Sunday hearing NASCAR race control. So that was not ideal for our job. And that came up. I felt bad for Racing Electronics, man, because they didn't get that message until, I want to say, Saturday night or Sunday morning of Michigan. And they had to basically reprogram every radio in the sport. And that was every Xfinity team, every Cup team, all the NASCAR radios, all the fire and safety radios, all the TV stuff. It had to be a nightmare for them guys. Kevin, I stopped by the shop and saw Kevin Hughes, and I could tell them guys were.
Did he lose the one hair he had left?
Did he take it easy? Take it easy.
Oh, sorry.
I can relate.
But yeah, that wasn't ideal. But again, it's just first year, a lot of bugs. Hopefully, we'll talk about it whether we're going to go back or not. But hopefully if we do go back next year, it's cleaned up some. But I mean, overall, I thought it was a great experience.
Yeah, for sure. I think the coolest part of this was the demographics. Much younger audience, and I'm not disparaging the fans that we have, but we have one of the highest age demographics in all of sports. And part of going to Mexico is you want to be able to attract that entire country. But the number of teenagers, 20-somethings, 30-somethings that were at the tweet up who are in the garage, I think there are a lot of benefits to being there.
Absolutely. And just before we move on, I just want to give a shout out to the truck drivers that are probably still busting their ass right now.
No, they're home. Ours are home.
They're
Yep.
back.
Yep.
But I mean, them guys, this whatever stretch you want to call it, 2 weeks, 12 days, whatever it's been, from to Michigan, from Michigan to Mexico, now Mexico to Pocono. These guys, we're all over here about that. You
got to ride on an airplane at least.
we were on the road for 5 days and our flight was delayed an hour. These guys have been at least 13 days on the road, probably some more than that, and they're driving their asses off.
Let's put it this way. I looked at him. I said, "Man, you look like you got shot out of a pig's ass." When I seen him, he's like, "I'm pretty close to it," he said, and he just kept walking.
But yeah, as far as the race, like you said, Tommy, SVG just kind of put an ass whooping to us, not unexpectedly, I don't think.
No, it was there was a couple guys that were trying to do some strategy. I felt probably the 54 was in the best scenario of strategy, but I think if he pitted when SVG pitted and stayed with SVG, it would have been a little bit different. But them waiting and then getting caught with the caution there kind of hurt. It did hurt him, but he didn't gain any positions after that, right? So it was, who knows? But my opinion, watching SVG in the beginning, I mean, yeah, he was running a little hard going into that stage where the 54 won there. I think he won, right? Or they pitted early. He pitted early in SVG. But, I think he just outdrove him. I mean, even in the post-race with Chase and the 20, Christopher Bell, they both said, the reporters, I don't know if you were there, they asked him, right, what could you have done differently and how would a car, both of them pretty much admitted, I need to work on some things to get better. I think, look, you have seen an upswing on that 88 team the last month. It only helped Sunday, right, this upswing. It's not going to get any better for anybody going into these other road courses because SVG and that team is, I figured it out, 33% better than last year right now, right? From where they ran, how they run, the positions they're running. Now, 33% better on a road course for SVG from last year. These guys are in trouble.
Yeah, and you saw that Sunday. I mean, Matt, what was the feelings like on pit road and the media scrums afterwards, just kind of chalking up to SVG whooping everybody's ass for the day?
Yeah, totally. Like, listen, at one point during the final stage, the final green flag run, they were trying to back him down. They're like, you don't have to have this kind of pace, and he says it makes him worse. That he just needs to get on his rhythm and go. And at one point, they told Shane over the radio, it's like, the 48 has this pace or the 20 has this pace. And he's like, that's good to know. Good, fine. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. Yeah. And he was so locked in. I mean, just an incredible drive.
Yeah, for sure. And then I think maybe the feel-good story of the weekend was Daniel winning that race on Saturday. I mean, we'll get to how that happened with the other two drivers, I'll say, running each other over all day long. But what a just a dream scenario for him to come back. Technically the first race, back there in his home country with the Premier Series and that one of the Premier Series in NASCAR, and he goes, and he was really good. Obviously, starts off really bad, ends up destroying the thing in practice, and you're like, oh, this sucks. I feel bad for him. Then he comes back, gets the provisional that any other week he's probably not in the race. But they add that provisional for the 9 car, not for the 9 car, but the 9 car takes it and then runs away with it and wins the race. So he was fun to watch come through the field. It was like, I know you've probably heard it. It was like Dale Jr. taking the lead at Talladega 20 years or 15 years ago, whatever it was. It was electric. If you heard, you could hear him in turn 1 when he took the lead or whatever. Then when they came back to the stadium section, you could hear him even the first time he would pop up on the screen. They'd be showing some other battle and they popped a 9 up on the screen leading. The stadium section went nuts. So it was just an electric feeling, and it's just, I can't imagine what Daniel felt like getting that done on Saturday.
I was in the Xfinity garage for post race because I was going to kind of stake out and talk to everyone as they came in, and so that's the opposite side from the stadium. And even as he celebrated in the stadium, you could almost feel like a little vibration coming from the entire. Now I'm close to the front stretch. There's fans on the front stretch too, but I cannot imagine what that must be like to have not a hometown, not a home city or a home state, but an entire country behind you for one race.
Yeah, I mean, you could get. You guys probably saw it on TV if you were watching at this point, but just watching him and the fans' reaction to him during the national anthem. He's singing he's singing the Mexican national anthem along with the girl. Which, by the way, bring those kids to every race we ever go to. Both anthems, they crushed both of those anthems. But that was just an electric feeling in itself. But then when they cut to them, just the feeling in that stadium, especially seeing Daniel. But overall, it was just unbelievable. But how cool is it to see that, Tommy? I know you guys were at the bowling alley.
Yeah, we were
Saturday.
at the All-Star. By then, I think I was like one eye watching it. But yeah, it was good. I mean, our small crowd, it was like, I mean, you could see when he took the checkered flag and then we went back to the stadium, the stands were like, I don't know if it was the camera moving, but there was.
Yeah, it was probably the stands.
Well, it was the thing was the camera was in the stands.
There was some joy going on there, and the. His wife, that watching the face, the pressure, you know what she's thinking, right? As, oh my God, you have Daniel, the world is on his shoulders. Just think about it. He's the only Mexican, right? And he's getting ready to win the race. And they were showing him, like, I know that pressure. Like this guy is getting ready to tear this place up.
Yeah, it was an awesome story, and I was happy for him because he put so much into this weekend, just all the promo stuff he did. I think everywhere I looked, he was there. He was doing all the promo stuff. He was there multiple times, taking other drivers around. They did that video where he's teaching those guys
Alex and Michael
speaking Spanish in the class. So I mean, just all that stuff, and then you get to go home, and then it all obviously, I'm sure he wished he would have won Sunday, but just to at least have that moment on Saturday was something I'm sure he'll never forget.
All right, before we get into Spot On, Spot Off, we want to give a shout out to our friends at Fox Factory Vehicles. They are sponsoring the segment this week. Fox Factory Vehicles delivers the thrill. They have turnkey, hassle-free, custom trucks and SUVs that are built to dominate any terrain, all while retaining their factory warranty. If you want more power, you can even go supercharged. You can build it and price out your dream ride today at foxfactoryvehicles.com. Fox Factory Vehicles, where performance meets precision. All right, topic number 1. You guys kind of touched on this earlier in BS. Mexico City should be on the 2026 schedule. Spot on, spot off. Matt, we'll start with you.
Oh, spot on. I mean, listen, so at the end of the day, we have 38 events. I think there's room for one of them, two of them, to go international, go to a new market, go to a street course somewhere, and also continue to go to old school markets like a Bowman Gray, North Wilkesboro, maybe Rockingham comes back and replaces a Darlington. I don't know. But there's 38 weekends a year. I think sometimes we get so insulated within our community, especially me. I'm a big short track guy, obviously, and I go to these communities and they're very much about their hometown. But NASCAR is so much bigger than any of that, and being able to experience people who were hardcore NASCAR fans in Mexico City. I know there's hardcore NASCAR fans in Brazil. Being able to use one of those 38 events to take our show to them, which could be a once-in-a-lifetime experience for those fans, I think that is hugely important. And you can do that without taking away from the local American audience.
Yeah, I agree. I'm spot on for it. I think we will. I don't know for sure. Heard rumors one way, heard rumors the other way. Both ways this weekend. But I do think that one thing that we do need to do is address the schedule. The scheduling of it, really. You can't. I don't think we should be going Michigan to Mexico to Pocono like that. We have to do something for that to make this either a little bit easier on our truck drivers, just a little bit of the industry overall, the TV people, everybody that had to put this show on. I thought Jordan Bianchi had a really good idea yesterday. He was talking about maybe back it up with Coda, where they can somehow find a way in the schedule to put those two back to back. So you just load up 2 road course cars. You go to Coda, you race. You go to Mexico, you race, and then you go home. I do think I heard a lot of rumblings about this, and I do think an off weekend before or after would help out a lot with the travel. But that was the biggest thing I thought was just the traveling obviously got screwed up. We had to adjust the schedule. We had to push Cup practice back. We had to cancel Xfinity practice one day just because of the logistics of not being able to get all the teams there at the same time. Some completely out of NASCAR's hands with the Trackhouse plane issues, but then obviously the Sam Hunt issues was kind of a logistical thing. Whoever else was done, I think Haas was on that plane where they had to fly in commercial. So there was definitely some that had to be cleaned up, but I think that for the crowd and the reaction and, seeing that one fan, Jeff retweeted him. The guy said he'd been a NASCAR fan since the 90s, and this is the first time he got to hear the engines in person because he's always had to watch on television. So, it's not just, these are not Formula One fans that we're just trying to go put a NASCAR race on in front of. There were diehard NASCAR fans there. Gluck told me he met a bunch of people at his tweet ups. I talked about listening to their podcast, all the Dirty Mo podcasts, really. So there are diehard NASCAR fans down there, and they showed it this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in agreement with you. I think I'm not sure if they'll have it again, but I think they learned a lot, right? There's a lot of small little things. I mean, obviously, Chitwile and that group did a really good job of everything they had to do, but there's a lot to learn from it, right? So what do? Do you go back there with all the things you learned to make that race better, and then you go somewhere else? Or do you throw everything that you learned to go somewhere else, right? I mean, I don't know if we're ready for 2 of those a year, but I would press that we're going to do one of them, go somewhere once a year to put on a show for new fans, right? To create new energy. So I don't know. I'm probably a big fan of hitting 4 or 5 of these types of places, one every 4 or 5 years, right? And going back, making them rotate. That way it keeps the energy going because, you keep going, and you kind of lose the
luster of
it, right? So take what we got, learn from it. If we move it somewhere else, take all that energy and let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, I know Brazil's been mentioned as as maybe the next. Or
I think Canada
obviously.
Yeah.
If you look at the schedule, that looks like that was Montreal's date to go from Michigan to Montreal to Pocono.
Which it.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
They got outbid.
Allegedly, they possibly could have been.
They were. I think they were outbid, but
I think there was a lot of other things. But yeah,
I think we definitely have to have at least one international race now on the schedule. Maybe it is the Clash at some point, but we have to go somewhere. I think once a year. Just
no. Please keep the Clash close to us.
No, I know, but I'm just saying.
That's the trade-off, right? Like we got the Clash in our backyard, and the trade-off is we go to Mexico City.
We'll go somewhere.
I think that's totally fair.
It is. For sure, with with the points being paid and the money being paid in a points race, that would make it a lot easier to swallow going somewhere else. I think, but yeah, I think we still have to have that one international race somewhere.
All right, on to the Xfinity race. Connor Zilisch comments on the Ty Gibbs contact saying, "That's just Ty. He got mad at me and shipped me. I don't think it was just the nature of the corners. That was pretty intentional." Spot on, spot off, Tommy.
Ty's, when he gets in those situations, he's a little overboard, right, sometimes. And, Connor probably has to learn to get a little bit more chippy in those situations. But, Connor's the one that was in control at the time, right? A little bit, right? You saw a little bit with SVG in her restarts too. He didn't he worked himself to the inside on every restart to be safe, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, just set himself up.
To set himself up. He didn't even really care if he lost the lead at that point because he knew he was going to get everybody back. And Zilisch was probably just as good to the field as.
Well, that was my problem because Connor didn't do that. You know what I mean? And that's what it drove me insane watching these two on Saturday. Just take the 2 best cars and take themselves out of the race.
18-year-olds, 19-year-olds losing their mind.
Just losing their mind. And I put more of it on Connor because I felt like was the best car. And I felt like he didn't need to take some of the risks he took. I mean, this started on lap 1. They were driving each other into the grass on the first lap of the race. And it was clear after a handful of laps that they were going to be the 2 best cars. Daniel was good, but he wasn't going to be on their level, I don't think. And then they just continued to, every time they got around each other, rough each other up or push each other off till it culminated with them running each other over. Daniel got a good run on that restart, and they were 3 wide, and Connor hits the curb, and they all wreck. And it's just, for me, it's just so frustrating to watch because Connor, in my opinion, is better than that. You know, he didn't need to take risk. He could do what SVG did and kind of put himself to, all right, I'm just going to get through this, restart safe. I know I'm going to have the pace to go out and beat these guys later. And he just doesn't do that. And we saw the same thing at Coda, you know, when he got himself behind there. He was like a wrecking ball coming back to the field. He wrecked the Heim. He bounced off. He was lucky to win that race because both his fenders were knocked in on his tires. He's driving around the racetrack, smoke pouring off every side of the car.
Well, he did have to come from last on
I
that
know
race,
that, but
Coda. That was a little different situation. I think this, look, if someone grabs him right and looks back at both of those races and just has Connor watch him and like, just write me a report. What could have you done differently, right? That's what I always tell Luke. You know, watch the race. I don't care about the positives. I want to know what you could have done differently. What, you know, in certain situations. So, I mean, I hope someone's grabbing him and he'll learn from it because he's so much better on road courses than 99.5% of the drivers.
Matt, I feel like if Connor takes the approach Tommy's talking about with SVG, he should win every road course race in the Xfinity Series.
Yeah, so one, I'm spot off on the racecraft for both of them, right? Like, obviously, and I think they know that. For Ty, I've covered Ty since he was in Greg Marlowe's late model stock car. He's always been super overeager. That is just a character trait of his racecraft, and it has not gone away in the Xfinity Series. It did not go away ARCA, and he's that driver now. He's having a rough year, too. I think that plays a factor into this.
He's having a rough year because he's sometimes over-aggressive and hurting his car, and that's what I'm trying. That's why I try to teach people in the short tracks. What if you don't have anything left at the end of the race? You don't have anything left. And if you're going to run into people on your way through, what good is it? Because it's not going to be right. So
I think the lesson, you know, all those guys could learn from is Shane on Sunday and even Daniel on Saturday. Those were two very smart races that were run for you know, Daniel to come through the back. He picked and chose his spots as they were presented to him. And Shane, I mean, that was a supercars masterclass. He recognized that he had a car that was 20 seconds better than the rest of the field. If these guys want to go bounce off each other, have at it, because I'll pick you off on a long run.
Yeah. And the other one that did a good job on Sunday was Chase Elliott. We had one him and somebody were fighting middle part of the race, but he's another one that just took care of his stuff, and all of a sudden at the end of the race he's going past people. I mean, it's just all about saving your stuff, man.
Yeah, there was a handful of guys, not to get off topic, but that I looked up. John Hunter was one of them. Riley, I felt
he was last. He was spun out
twice. He spun out twice, and I think fifth or sixth. He ended up. Riley was having a really good day for you know, not somebody that I would think of as a road course racer, but showed good speed. He out-qualified the other two 2311 cars in qualifying. He was running around the top 10 or 12 when he got turned around. Scared the ever-living out of me when he tried to get back going and almost got T-boned by Ricky. But he was having a really good day. I hated to see that get ruined. Ty Dillon was having a good day. I saw he was in the top 10 for a lot of the race. I don't even know where he ended up.
And he was legitimately running well.
Yeah.
I mean, he just wasn't put there. And again, the rain tires propelled him back, you know, up to the front. He did really good in the rain. His car handled really good in the rain. But he stayed there after the fact. And I'd like to give a little shout out to Catherine Legg. There was at times that she was in a solid top 30, and you didn't hear from her the whole race, which is good news, right? Because all the other races, you know, was a caution and stuff. So she did. I thought she did well. There was one other guy that I thought
Cole Custer,
first
top 10.
Did top 10. There was a bunch of you know, Ryan Priest ran good all weekend. So he pit road penalty. Again, he didn't believe it happened to him. He wanted to see the replay, but
again,
cone.
I was going to say, I'm having flashbacks to the
We
cone.
should take pictures of the boxes for him so you can see how many boxes
Conspiracy
he can hit.
theory. Someone's against him.
All right. NASCAR throws a caution for Carson Hocevar with 36 laps to go after he spun and wrecked Ricky Stenhouse in the final corner. Stenhouse also says he's going to beat Hocevar's ass when they get back in the States.
Did it happen yet?
I was going to say, has anybody heard any tea yet?
What if they're on the same flight?
God, could you imagine?
Oh, man.
Go ahead, Freddie. Spot on, spot off.
I mean, spot off. I want to, but the thing is,
Spot off of him.
Spot off
for
of
starting
throwing
the
a
caution. No, spot off for him kind of drawing the caution. But I want to bash him, but it was a tricky spot because it was a blind corner. If they had a spotter in turn 15, it was a blind corner for that spotter.
I misspoke. I wasn't supposed to say he wrecked Ricky. He stalled it in the final corner. That's what happened. My bad. The friggin' fold of the paper. Just to get that in there so you know. Okay. So you have the proper information.
But he did wreck Ricky anyway. So
well, I mean, that's also true.
But well, he spun him. But where he was sitting, the thing is, it's Hocevar, so he does not get the benefit of the doubt again. I think anybody else that's sitting there, you saw the one car just miss him, coming around that corner. And he doesn't know what's coming around that corner because he's blind. He doesn't have a spotter. If he does have a spotter in 15, they're kind of blind still. So, you don't want to really move because you may be moving into the spotters that are in the stadium could be telling the drivers that are coming, the 77 is spun on exit, stay to the right. And now, you back up to the right. Now you've caused a bigger problem. So I don't want to really knock him for the yellow. But what really didn't sit well with me was the fact that he sat there, drew the yellow, and then was, benefited from the wave around because he was in the he drew the caution.
He got
the wave around, not the lucky dog. The wave, like everybody,
okay.
He pit all the leaders that were in front of him pit, so he was in position for the wave around. So. There's, I know that when you are the lucky dog and you're involved in the caution, you're not permitted to be the lucky dog,
right.
So I think we probably need to look at maybe putting that in to where if you are the one that draws the yellow flag, you don't get to benefit from being the wave around on the caution that you have created. But other than that, again, Matt, I think it was, I know there's a lot of uproar. He drew the yellow. He did it on purpose. Again, it's a lot because it's in his past. We've seen him do it multiple times in the past, which to his credit, he didn't do it last week. It was last week. He got that left rear flat at Michigan and could have very easily, and maybe in the past, we would have seen him spin himself out coming to pit road to get that yellow. He just kind of took his lumps, got to pit road, and his day was over at that point. But I think he gets a bad rap a lot of times, and this might have been another one of those situations.
Yeah, this is the one that I give him a free pass on just because I didn't listen to the radio. I should have gone back on Max and listened to that. Blind corner. I would like to know, did Luke tell him something? Did, whoever corner that was, what was the communication level? But there are a lot of variables, and we nearly saw someone get T-boned. So you don't want a guy just kind of just full sending into the corner there. He gets a bad rep because of that. And Carson, you can appreciate this too on the Cars Tour side. We're kind of dealing with that every week too. Should a driver stall? If you come down pit road and in that scenario, you get penalized. If you draw the caution, you get penalized. Yep. It's a no-win scenario.
We literally dealt with that this weekend. So
totally.
Same thing.
So it's not an apples to apples comparison, but there's a lot of variables that go into this. And I think that if it wasn't Carson, it would not be the talking point that it is now as a result.
And I mean, Tommy, I'm assuming one way or the other, but I think the thing you want to get to would be the later infraction of running the 47 over when you're a lap down, not racing for anything.
Why? I don't understand. Why? Why? I mean, it's like having your kid and putting, why? I mean, what is wrong with you? It's just, I mean, I don't know, man. He's got to get a beating. He's gonna get a beating. Ricky's gonna hit him. I'm telling you.
I say this all the time that one of my biggest frustrations with the current NASCAR environment that we live in is sometimes people need punching.
Nobody's getting their ass beat, and
No
that's
one.
the problem.
Thank you.
I'm pro Ricky. I'm pro Carson. This is not personal to me, but in racing and in
I'm
racecraft,
pro ass whooping. That's what it is.
I am pro ass
Yeah.
whooping too. We see it all the time, and you guys in Cars Tour, you're at fault too.
Well, that's
you don't let them fight there
I know.
either.
Well, and it's okay. So Connor
Thank
Jones
you.
is a great
Thank
example.
you.
I told you I wish we could. Well, I mean, we can. Connor Jones is a great example. They thought that we fined him for fighting at Langley, and we didn't. It was for the way he pulled in the pit area. I think unless you're bringing a jack handle or like a literal weapon to the fight, have at it.
Because the alternative is at some point, and we saw this with Kyle Busch and Ricky last year, you get encouraged to use your car as a weapon. And I don't
That's
want
exactly
that
what
at
I said
all.
too, because then we're going to tear it more on the racetrack
Yes.
because they can't handle it off the racetrack.
It's NASCAR's security's job, and they let everybody know that they are the ones that are policing the situations with the drivers. Just if the crews would just leave it alone and let the drivers go at it, and then the security step in after it's over, or if someone's getting beat up pretty bad, let's get it over with, because it's not processing for him. Something's not process. Carson, hello. Something's not processing with you.
And this is what, we got a lot of on here a couple weeks ago because when Jeff was here,
We got
Yeah, believe it or not, because Jeff said he told Carson that wasn't right. He could have cut Ricky a break, and people were like, oh, you don't want to change.
Trying to soften him up. Yeah.
Nobody wants Carson to change like that. Nobody wants him to race. I don't want to say less aggressive because we do want him to race a little less aggressively, maybe. But this is the stuff that needs to change. This is dumb.
I'm gonna go on record. Look, Freddie. People comparing him to Dale Earnhardt. Stop. There will never, ever, ever be another Dale Earnhardt. I don't want to hear that, especially at Carson Hocevar. Never, ever is he going to be a Dale Earnhardt, okay? So that pisses me off, number one. Number two is you can get behind people without wrecking them and get by them by just nudging them a little bit, right? Come on.
Yeah.
But situational awareness, what do you have to gain there? One lap down to even nudge.
He has no situation in there. Hello, Carson.
Or awareness.
Hello. Has none of it. His brain dead.
Follow Ricky. Learn something from him.
The guy has no concept in there but to go fast right now. I'm sorry. It's pitiful. The guy's got the world ahead of him. He does. I mean, everyone will agree he's got so much talent, right? That's not the problem.
Yeah, this is the things that when people people that are around him or say that they're trying to, correct some of his problems, this is it. They're not trying to correct the fact that he's over aggressive and or trying too hard. It's this dumb stuff like this that we harped on for years, where he's right hooking people at a reactions in the truck series or intentionally bringing out cautions to affect the entire race. This is the stuff. And to your point, Matt, like, what are you doing? You're a lap down. You're not racing. You're behind the guy you just spun out 2 weeks ago.
That warned you he was going to kick your ass. What do you think? Because he was a Mexican, it wasn't going to happen?
By the way, that's 40 points for Ricky right there.
Yeah.
He cost Ricky the 40 points, and I don't have the standings in front of me.
Yeah, it's in here, but
even with Shane's win, I think that probably puts him in the playoffs.
Yeah, or at least a lot closer. Like we talked about with Ricky, those guys have done.
Ricky did finish 27. That's pretty good for Ricky on a road course. So,
but he was running. I mean, I don't know where they were running.
21st.
It was I was around 20th. I figured.
Okay.
And he was one of the ones that was moving forward because as the longer the runs went, guys started to bleed on tires. Some guys really hard. And I thought he was moving forward at that point. And the funny thing I thought though, I don't know if you caught this. So Carson goes in there. I guess he wheel hopped. Just kind of overdrives entry to 12.
Like Ricky did at Martinsville.
Yeah, every year.
Yeah.
But so Carson hits him, turns him. Carson just pulls over to the side and parks and waits for Ricky to get going. And then he just followed him and he just stayed behind him the rest of the race. Like, I am not getting in front of this guy for the rest of this afternoon. But it's just, like you said, Matt, it can't happen in that situation.
Somebody like Mike Helton just needs to go, come here. Just give the Mike Helton look with the Mike Helton, come here. Needs to spend about an hour with Mike Helton. Right, and get a little education on racing life. That's what he needs. Please, Mike Helton.
And listen, I know we're hard on him on this show. Carson is not a bad person. I mean, I've sat there and talked to Carson. We've given him shit. He sat behind me on the plane. He was watching the Herbie the Lugbug movies. Said he was doing his road course prep on the way to Mexico. He's just a good kid and like means well. I can sit down and have a conversation with him. We had lunch one day with his spotter and Luke and them. Kid's a good kid. It's just this is the dumb that you want to just shake him and be like, what the are you doing?
Thank you.
I'll say this: if Ricky doesn't get him, Mike Kelly will.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Magic Mike. Hey, don't go by Mike Kelly on this show. It's Magic Mike.
Magic Mike. Make him disappear.
God, don't start any conspiracies. All right, moving right along. I think poor Carson Hocevar's had enough from us today. SVG is a deserving driver to be in the playoffs because of his road racing abilities, despite being 30th in the point standings after Mexico. Spot on, spot off. Tommy.
Spot on. I mean, yeah, he deserves it.
Yeah.
That's the rule.
The thing for me is, and I'm always, are you good with winning you're in? Like, do you like that?
Yep.
I'm saying, obviously, traditional me would always say I would like to reward, consistency.
With these rules, yes.
But with this rule and for the entertainment value, I think winning you're in has a lot of value in the entertainment space because you see guys take chances at the end of any race trying to get that win if they don't already have one to get into that playoffs. I do think, Matt, though, I think there needs to be some points position cutoff for it. I think top 25 makes a lot of sense.
Well, we did, and they changed
we got
it.
rid of it. I don't know why, but we did.
Because there's a lot of good teams that.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to have some kind of consistency to get into playoffs, in my opinion. Like, if you look around the guys that
like
are 20,
hockey, when you're fifth, and then 6 months later in the playoffs, they're second.
Yeah,
I mean, hockey takes
like
three-quarters of the
hockey. But if you start off and don't win a game for the, you win 20% of your games for the first month and a half, you don't just go on a 10-game winning streak and now you're in the playoffs. Like, you don't get to make up all of that difference in 1 week.
There's
like we do.
32 teams in the playoffs at hockey. It seems like
there's only 32 in the
yes,
league.
exactly.
But my point is, if you get that far behind early in the season, and I think and to this point, I think it adds value and adds drama to your races where, if you say, all right, SVG's got to win, but now he's got to get to the top 25 or he's got to get to the top 30 in points, now that brings into your showing as SVG runs now sometimes. Can he get to this top 25? Now, do they do this? Do they run their season differently? Do they stay out in different positions trying to chase stage points because they need points to vault themselves up in the standings? I just think that you need to have some kind of cutoff where I think top 25 is a perfect number. I would like to see at least a top 30 of, you got to be in this marker at least to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, I would say no. I mean, I'm spot on. And the reason I say this is that I think that everyone's stuff is so close. Like, we talk about being 31st, 32nd. Shane's now top 30. He'd be in anyway, and he could win another road course race. This is such
and that was the old rule, right, Matt?
It was 30. It was 30,
yeah.
I think this is a very nuanced topic that we do not have enough time to delve into. But I will say this. We do not live in the average a 7th place finish over 34, 32 races, whatever. That's not this era. We are all about winning. And so if we're going to tell our audience, our fans, that the only thing that matters in the NASCAR Cup Series is doing whatever it takes to win, get into the top 16, and then once you're in the top 16, do whatever it takes to win, I think there's a lot of value in that. I think putting the pressure and the intensity on teams to go out and win at all costs, that is a value to our sport. Now, if we were to wake up tomorrow and the Latford system is back, I'm fine with that too. I think these are two different versions of excellence. And I don't like comparing the Latford system to what we have now because they're not apples and apples. They're apples and peanut butter.
Oh, yeah.
But I think both of them reward excellency in a different way. And Shane could go out and win another road course. So if he wins 2, is he deserving to be in the playoffs? If he wins 3, is he good enough then?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We have 6 of them.
There's 10 winners now. And I'm looking at the standings and I'm looking at the guys that not only aren't in the top 16 in points, but who haven't won yet. We could easily have only 3 guys make it in points this year.
And less, maybe
right?
less.
Yeah. I mean, easily.
You've got, and listen, upcoming, we got 10 races to the cutoff, 3 road courses, 2 plate races. That's half the races are potential wild cards. And, I found myself, you seen the race playing out and you're looking and I'm going, all right, who's going to win this race? Because obviously we're going to be one of those guys that's going to probably end up right on the cut line again of, if we don't win, hopefully we get a win before then and don't have to worry about it. But if we don't win, we're going to end up probably right within 1 or 2 of the cut line. So you got to start looking at that stuff during the race. Like, who do I want to win today? And you look, and I looked, and I'm like, I'm cheering for SVG because I know he's a new winner, but he could go off and win all the road course races where I don't need Ty Gibbs to win today because he may not find another win in the next 10 races, or Alex Bowman, a guy that's behind us in the standings, or McDowell. These guys are up there that had speed and they could pull a win off. Obviously ultimately I'm cheering for Christopher Bell. I'm like, you get up there and win and hopefully it's not a new winner. But if the lesser of two evils for us was SVG wins, because I feel like no matter what, at some point this year, he's going to win a road course. Whether it was here, Chicago, he's going to go into Chicago. Chicago is a favorite. Obviously, Sonoma, Watkins Glen, he's going to be good at. But so in that moment, you're like, okay, well, I need this SVG guy to win because, to your point, Matt, he could easily go and win 2 or 3 more races.
Here's another thing. People are saying, how is this fair to Ryan Preece? And I would say, I'm a big Preece guy, short track guy, right? He's 13th in the standings. Be better. They're saying, well, Shane Van Gisbergen's not going to win the championship, so what's the point? Is the 60 team going to win the championship this year? No. And so the 88 team found the way in this system, winning, to get into the top 16. So if you're Ryan and Derek Finley, Go win a race. That's the era we live in now.
This is essentially why SVG is in that car, because you put him in that car because you expect him to win races at these road courses and get you in the playoffs. Because I mean, that was a millions of dollar swing for them. They just went from 30th in points to no worse than 16th at the end of the year. I think it's multiple millions of dollars in season money.
The charter value.
Yeah, and the charter value goes up. That's why he's in this car, and that's probably why he's going to stay in this car if there is changes around that team next year. There was some rumors that maybe one or the other, Suarez might be inching his way back in. I think with this performance yesterday, and what you see coming, like you said, Tommy, they're getting better. I think now that's probably SVG's seat for the year, whether Connor comes up or not. Maybe that's the discussion for the 99 team. But, for me, and one thing that I did see yesterday that I kind of hit home for me was Daniel Suárez put out a tweet in response to somebody else that was, the thing that drives me crazy is it's ruining the storybook, wins. Like last year, 10 years ago, Harrison Burton winning Daytona is a Cinderella story. We're celebrating that. But it quickly became he doesn't deserve to be in the playoffs. Instead of that, this is the same thing. We have our first international race in a million years. We have a New Zealand driver win it, and instantly it turns into he doesn't belong in the playoffs. Instead of just, why are we just not celebrating the fact that these guys accomplished this? So there's definitely a little bit of a broken system there somewhere. But I just want to get back to these. These guys were this win should be celebrated, especially just kicking ass all day long and waxing the field. And then you get out and you're like, well, you don't deserve to be in the playoffs anyway. That just doesn't sit right with me.
Steve Letarte says he's not a big fan of Larson being able to get the fastest lap of the race point after finishing 37 laps down. He would like for the driver to be on the lead lap, eligible for the bonus point. Tommy, spot on, spot off.
I mean, kudos to the 5 team, airing up them tires and laying down the lap and getting an extra point.
Yeah, who gives a
smart?
Yeah,
right. I mean, again, those are the rules.
And I don't know if you watched it, but did you watch him come out after? It was incredible.
Yeah,
like this is something that doesn't happen. If you 97% of the time back in the day, if you wrecked and you were multiple laps down and they fixed your car, you went back out there and just rode around. You got on the apron, you got the hell out of the way. Kyle came out there and ran qualifying laps.
Yeah,
the rest of the race,
to get the point. Good.
Yeah,
and
by the way, how many points did he lose the regular season championship by last year? 1.
Yeah.
So,
I love that Cliff was able to keep his guys motivated. There was something, there was a rabbit for them to chase, and they were 37 laps down. And I just think that is why Cliff Daniels is one of the best leaders in NASCAR.
Exactly.
And I think this also, and Tommy, you know this from the team side of it, this will encourage you to fix your car the right way. Because, a lot of times you're just getting it back together where you get it rolling, you get back out there and you're just trying to make laps. Where this now, if there's a point on the table, you're going to fix your car. You're going to, we might see this at ovals, if you can get it fixed. But I'm just saying, you're going to take maybe a little extra time to make sure it's done right. You're not going to have cars going back out there that might not be ready to go back out there, falling off them. This could entice people to fix things the right way and try to chase this point.
That's 2 races now, Darlington and Mexico, that they have rebuilt that car, and I'm like sitting back, I'm going, what are the parts that they put on? You're only allowed a certain amount of parts in the NASCAR rulebook that we are allowed to change. And those guys seem to get that car back on the track. I mean,
kudos to them.
Yeah, points
are every one of them matters.
Yep.
Another interesting spot on, spot off segment there. Thanks to our friends at Fox Factory Vehicles for supporting the spot on, spot off segment this week. Fox Factory Vehicles is delivering the thrill for drivers who demand the best. Our custom quality, turnkey, hassle-free trucks and SUVs are built to dominate any terrain and retain their full factory warranty. Whether you're headed to the track or the trail, these rides are ready. No do-it-yourself, no delays. Andrew, if I gave you a Fox Factory truck right now, where do you think the best place to take it would be?
I don't know. I feel like West Coast. It'd be fun to maybe road trip it out there and really use the off-road to its max abilities. I think that'd be cool.
Are you more of a mountain guy or a kind of a beach, like through the water kind of guy?
I think I'm both, but I went to school in the mountains, so I would have to lean mountains for something like this.
Well, that would be, it sounds like a lot of fun. And if you want to feel the rush, kick it into overdrive with our additional supercharged models and unleash the power. Andrew, I would be terrified to give you anything that is supercharged.
Me too.
For most people, I think they can handle it. You're in the driver's seat. Head to foxfactoryvehicles.com to build and price your next dream ride. Available through partnering dealerships nationwide, Fox Factory Vehicles bring the precision and performance you've been dreaming of. Visit foxfactoryvehicles.com today and take the wheel.
Hey, it's Dale Jr. Did you know that we've got brand new merch from our Stars, Stripes, and Beers collection available now? We've got tanks, tees, beach towels, and more just in time for summer. Check it all out at shop.dirtymomedia.com.
Carson, anything? Fired up? What we got?
Nothing's got me mad.
Jesus,
No.
this is like weeks in a row.
Okay, well, maybe I wanted to talk about something good today.
We can talk about
Maybe
something.
I wanted
yes,
to talk
yes.
about Dominion.
Let's do it.
No, I mean,
Tell a
I
little story.
just want to, give a shout out to Minnie Tyrell and his family. They are salt of the earth people. They do so much. Like, this year's already over with Dominion, and they're already on to next year of planning the race. And what they do to bring all those kids and their families out to experience a weekend with us takes a lot. And we also take for granted how lucky we are to travel every weekend and be healthy and not have to worry about everything. So it's just a weekend where we don't really care about the racing, and like it just puts into perspective, how precious life is. I do want to say too, my heart is with the Hines family. There's a young boy named Lincoln who has been able to join us the past couple years that we've done this, and he was put on hospice about a week and a half before the race, and he still wanted to come. He still wanted to go and experience the weekend with Chad McCumbee for the third time in a row. And he did. He did driver intros, did the rides in the car, and unfortunately he passed away on Saturday night at the conclusion of the race. So as awful as that is, it's still so beautiful that he got to spend his last day at the racetrack with Chad and around people that love him, and with us at the Cars Tour. So all in all, that's what's got me fired up this weekend.
It's got me fired up now too. Thank
So
you.
it was
Thank you.
awesome.
Great story.
Looking to me like, I mean, you had your hand in all of this, whether it was I don't even know what you would call it on Friday. Was it Friday night?
We do like a little dinner where that's kind of like where the drivers and the families can kind of like get to meet and mingle for the first time. And they do like some guest speakers and things like that. Kip and I both get up there and say a few words. And the other cool thing too is they had a representative there this year that the families could go talk to and get resources and answers to questions about treatments and like what's available to them and things that the hospital doesn't necessarily tell you. So there's so many moving parts to it, and it's so cool to be there and see it all.
Well, it was a great weekend, and shout out to Minnie for winning.
And he won. I told him, I said, Bob Ross couldn't have painted a better picture. Like, you win your own race. Like, it was
Very
it was
Suarez-esque.
so cool. I know, right? It was like the theme of the weekend, I guess. But no, it was really cool. So shout out to Minnie, and I already can't wait for next year.
Matt, how cool is it? I know you go to a lot of the Cars Tour races. What is that series? You've seen that series change over the years, I'm sure. How important is that series to the landscape of the sport right now?
All I can tell you is like I'm 37, and so the heyday of the old ASA and the old Art Go series, Pro Cup, I wasn't around for that. And loving regional short track racing, I always wished we had that kind of marquee series. Obviously, the Whelen Modified Tour up north, you guys have that.
Well, not lately, but yeah.
Sure, but down south, I've wanted to experience what that was like, and Cars Tour is delivering that to us down south. Smart Tour, if you're a tour type modified fan, we have ASA's back now. I'm living this childhood fantasy, the things that I wish we had when I was growing up. We have it now, and it's an important bridge between the short track audience and the NASCAR audience.
Yeah, we did this. We talked about this on the live show here a couple weeks ago. I compare the K&N series of what we used to have in the K&N series with when we were racing there with Bubba and stuff to what the Cars Tour is now. Like, I feel like that's a comparison of where you're going to see the young talent come from.
Yeah, that's what I always
And
say.
shout out to Justin.
Bonsignor? Yeah, we don't like him.
Yeah, but we got to look. He's taken out 47 cars so far this year, right? But finally, he wins. He comes to his home track, right?
Did he wreck anybody Saturday?
No, he didn't wreck. He's on the way out. He's like, Baldwin, don't talk bad about me. I said, you didn't do nothing stupid. But shout out to him. New record, Riverhead Raceway, 12 wins.
12 tour wins. Who had? I'm assuming Michael.
Mike
Yeah.
Uinensko, yep. And I think he moved to the third all time.
Yeah.
So
Good for him. I mean,
Yeah.
Justin's a good friend of mine.
Oh,
I
yeah.
spotted for him back in the day at Riverhead when he was just getting started. So I'm
He's
proud of
getting
him.
gray, man. You see him?
He's getting old.
Yeah,
I mean, the kid delivered a baby in the McDonald's parking
know,
lot. What,
yeah.
what do you want
So
from him?
insane. So insane.
he owns a
aged
company.
quickly.
His hair's all fluffed out, and he's still fast at Riverhead. Man.
All right, well, it's time for Reaction Theater where fans can call in and voice their opinions from this weekend's race. Andrew said we have some good ones today, so I'm excited to...
People stepped it up.
Do we
this
need a
week.
translator?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, from multiple different countries.
All right.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
For the record, I love this part.
Now, he may be from New Zealand, but stuff's coming out from both holes, from both sides of the end. It's the Brown Thunder from Down Under, Shane Van Gisbergen.
What I'm concerned about, and maybe I don't know anatomy as well as maybe the next man, but he said I'm leaking out of both holes, and I feel like there's more than that. So I don't know.
Well, when you're having issues, it's really
just
2 holes that you're really leaking out of. I mean,
it could,
I'm
right,
disgusted
listen,
right
I don't
now.
know.
For the record, I have puked through my nose.
yeah.
It's possible.
Yeah, that's 4.
Thank you for
That's
sharing.
4.
Thank you for
That's
sharing.
4.
Oh,
Can we
boy.
move on?
Next.
Brother, Kyle Busch just won the Legends car race.
Yes.
Summer shootout. My wife said it counts. I am bricked up. Let's go, Rowdy
Ripped
Nation.
up.
I'm so happy for him.
My wife said it counts is the best part.
Oh, my God.
I was
Oh,
worried.
my
You know, there's probably a lot of wives that don't acknowledge legend cars wins.
Fair.
Gotta be, you know, it's challenging.
Bricked
Oh,
up is crazy.
Shout out to Bubba. Bubba finished second last night.
Yeah?
I don't know.
I don't know how he made it. How did he?
I don't know. He must have barely because he got there for qualifying too. He landed a few hours.
They
before
had a
us.
rain. They had a pretty fat rain delay. I do know that, so
okay.
maybe that kind of helped him
Say
out
fat
too.
rain delay?
Yeah, fat rain delay. Should I have said a Freddie rain delay?
Is that like long? What is that?
Big
God.
puddles.
Yeah.
Rotund.
That we're now referring to them as Freddie rain delays. You just wait. Oh, you'll pay for that. I promise.
All right, if the Budweiser driver wants to go fight the Miller Lite driver, that's fine. Don't go to fight somebody in their car with Fun Pops on the back of your damn uniform. What are you going to do, a tickle fight? You can't tickle fight. You grown-ass man. Don't tickle fight nobody. Calm the down.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
I just love the fact that he put in his interview like I'll see him when we get back to the States. Like, nah, I'm not gonna go to jail here, but I'll just no chances down here.
I don't think Stenhouse hates Carson Hocevar, but I'd bet a month's paycheck that Ricky would unplug Hocevar's life support to charge his phone.
I wouldn't go that far, but
No.
Oh man, I just
God.
like you that you can't ever spin out somebody that when you're a lap down.
I don't. Let's not even talk about
but
him. We're
you
giving him.
definitely
We're
don't get-
giving him way too much publicity.
Can't do it to the
We've
guy.
given him plenty of publicity the
Yeah.
last however many shows. I'm sick of talking
Yeah.
about him.
Oh boy.
Oh, yeah, SVJ for the win. You go, you good.
Did he say the
Yes,
C word?
yeah, but I mean
But
That's a term of
their
endearment
thing,
for
yeah.
them.
Yeah, that's. He
I
said
wish-
good. He said good before it.
I
so,
wish I lived in New Zealand
Yeah. You could
so I could use that word all the time.
just want to use that word all the time.
Yeah.
That's the one
I
word.
love that word.
That's a word that just can't. That doesn't. You can't let that one fly.
Not around,
That-
no.
My wife would kill me. I think if I ever.
Yeah, I mean, for the record, I don't use it often, but
Often.
I wish I
Not
could.
often.
I'm just kidding.
Not daily.
Only
She doesn't
when-
use it daily.
Only
just,
when somebody really deserves it. Sometimes it's
so
necessary.
it is daily.
Who was the last person?
I can't. You probably know.
Mike.
Poor Kip. Poor Kip. Oh, sorry.
Not Kip. Not Kip.
Oh, I'm sure there's plenty of guesses.
Anyways,
Next.
We have a new name for a fan base.
Okay.
I see your Chase Sexuals and host of our hoes, and I raise you the Denny Riders.
I may be a Danny is great guy, but I don't think I'm going to join the Riders anytime soon.
No.
I think
DDR.
The DDR.
DDR. Yeah.
Let me tell you something, man. I was expecting some crazy driver interest for Sunday. I was expecting all the answers to be like,
En la número 99 por Trackhouse Racing.
Daniel Suárez. But no, we didn't get any of that kind of stuff, man.
I like
He's
that his
right,
voice
right?
went deeper when he did the accent.
They did bring somebody out for Daniel, right? Somebody came out and introduced Daniel either in Spanish or they said something in Spanish before Daniel came out. I
Why would they
unfortunately
have to
don't know.
bring someone out for Daniel?
Well, they
He
said that
knows
like
how-
they did. It was for the crowd, I assume. Like
yeah, but
to hype,
Daniel
hype the
could have
crowd.
did it himself.
I will tell you, he missed Brad Perez's entrance though on Saturday.
Oh, really?
He basically introduced himself and he danced across the stage. It was good.
All right. Well, those were definitely a step up.
Yes.
Those were funny. I almost had tears at one point. So to leave an audio message 24/7, you can call our number at 704-802-9572, and we will play the best ones each week on the show. And moving right along to Ask DBC, you can send in your questions on X each week using hashtag AskDBC. And Danny would like to know, was the altitude as much of a problem as everyone thought it was going to be?
I don't think so from the car side, right? We didn't have any of the cooling issues that we were worried about. No brake issues that I know of for us anyway. There was there was tire wear. The tire wear was higher than we expected it to be. So I don't know how altitude equates to that at all. But for the car side of things, no. For my fat ass climbing to the top of that stadium section, yeah, maybe a little bit.
Yeah,
Matt,
but that would be at Pocono, Michigan, Riverhead.
No, it was
Riverhead,
different
you'd be
there.
tired.
I think Matt would agree that it was. You could definitely tell there was a difference.
I cycle 7 miles 5 days a week, and just to run across the highway for a green light, I was gassed.
Really?
It was hard sleeping. I've had the
Because
worst
you're
sleep.
taking shallower breaths when you're
Yes.
asleep. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't sleep good either. I didn't even think about that.
Wow. Come on.
I was only drunk the one night, the last night. The every other night I was pretty
That
good.
doesn't help either.
But
I'll tell you, I
didn't
woke
know-
up.
I didn't have to get any oxygen, thankfully.
Yeah, at least you didn't have to sleep with an oxygen tank like me at 24 years old.
The number of times, though, I realized I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like,
Yeah.
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 It's harsh.
You noticed it for sure, but it wasn't like, holy cow, there's a problem.
I was thinking I would want to go next year, but maybe not. I'm traumatized from Breckenridge still. All right. Well, besides the altitude, what kind of shows did everybody witness this week? My favorite one was the cameraman falling over, chasing the one guy.
that was I felt bad for that guy. Did you see this
Yeah.
in the IndyCar race? Yeah. But for me, my show of the week was early in the week. I don't exactly know what the hell Moody was thinking about when he tweeted about the Terminal D exploding at the airport while we were all there. But I'd rather we not put that out into the world for everybody to think about. I'd have to go back and my phone's not working right now. But it was basically like if you might remember it a bit better. But it was like basically if Terminal D at Charles Douglas Airport blows up right now, the NASCAR industry is going to be in a world of hurt or something like that.
Two
I'm like,
words you're not supposed to use in the same sentence are airport and blows up.
that's 3 words. Just for the
Well,
record,
whatever.
but-
Phrase, whatever. What the you get it.
my
ahead.
one show, okay? Someone actually took a YouTube video of the plane that had the engine failure. And if you go and find this video in the YouTube description, this guy was so excited to see this plane take off in person because he's like, I can't believe that someone actually allowed this plane to fly. They don't fly anymore. I want to see it in person because this is something that hasn't happened in like 15 years.
Why the hell was it flying
That
us
was my,
then?
that was my question. That is show territory.
This is why we were talking about the logistics. Maybe weren't so amazing.
dear.
I would assume next time we leave the country, we're going to be able to use our own planes.
Yeah, I would, or something better than what we had.
Maybe an American Airlines jet would be nice.
I think Moody's tweet has to be on there for me. Like show Hall of Fame, we could talk about. It was literally a show. I mean, all these guys were their pants on Saturday or Sunday. SVG is talking about leaking out of both holes. Gregson had multiple stories up about how all the Imodium that he had to take to try to get through the race.
I'm pretty certain that the last time Noah went to Mexico, I feel like I remember seeing him on vacation or something somewhere in Mexico within the last handful of years. He had the same exact problem.
I don't know if
he drank the water and he himself. So did he not learn the first time?
I don't know if you're aware of this. Noah's not real bright.
Well, that is true. Maybe I was trying to give him too much credit.
Noah, we have some questions about Noah, and
Listen to this.
decision making.
A 39-year-old aviation classic and an extremely rare aircraft to see flying in 2025, the Boeing 737-200 at Charlotte Douglas International Airport. This was apparently it was an event.
It turned into one. It almost turned into a really bad one. Thank God that it happened on the ground.
Yeah, you didn't get to see it take off, but you did get to see it explode.
Who else?
I think we could put Hocevar and Stenhouse on there.
Hocevar and Stenhouse for sure goes on the list. I think literally show
Riley.
with the drivers.
Their pants.
Riley almost killing himself, basically. And Moody's tweet, I think, has to be on
We're
there.
leaving the IndyCar cameraman off.
Yeah, probably. I don't think enough of our fans probably watch that race.
That's the last time I ever give a suggestion.
I mean, you can put it on there. I mean, it's fine.
I'm just kidding.
I don't care.
I'm kidding. Ty Dillon won, killing the squirrel won last week.
Did it?
Yeah.
All right, that's good. Yeah, I'm glad he. I got a lot of comments about Ricky saying did he die? No, he was fine.
Well, remember to go vote on our Show Hall of Fame Twitter poll on who you want to see inducted into the Show Hall of Fame this week. DBC Picks.
So the guest won again?
Stenhouse won, picking SVG.
We all did fairly well. We were all in the top 15.
Bad.
You get to pick first, though, Carson.
Because I was the worst. Where are we? What's going on? Pocono?
We're going to Pocono.
I'm gonna go ahead and pick Austin Cindric. It's like the best one I got left.
That's the guy, huh, for you? I will take Justin Haley.
Yeah, that's rough.
You're laying up.
Justin Haley run pretty good there before.
Yeah, he did. I am. Is it my turn?
Yes.
I am going to take Christopher Bell.
Christopher Bell.
Let's go with Briscoe. A lot of speed lately.
Yeah, he has that. I mean,
I don't know where he was getting used as a pinball machine 3/4 of that race, and I look where he finished. I'm like,
he was in the top
how
10.
the hell did he finish there?
Yeah, he had some damage. I think he was caught in that wreck early when Kyle blew the corner, which maybe that should be on the
show.
I mean, they cut to the camera and there's just lead or tungsten laying on the racetrack. I was like, damn.
I felt bad for Zane because he was using Kyle as a judge to win braking.
They both missed.
That's a show nominee.
That was a
show. Let's use that.
You got to definitely use that one, Kyle. Well, we'll make a list we'll text a list.
From Legends winner to show nominee.
From the penthouse to the shit house, real quick.
Have to give whatever they got back on Tuesday. They got to give it back. Anyway, I know we got to get out of here. Carson's got places to be, things to do. But again, did not run into many DBC fans out in Mexico this week. I didn't venture out a whole lot.
I ran into a handful at Dominion, I will say.
I did see somebody tagged us in a picture, or tagged you and me in a picture of you. And
it was actually
fans.
a set of twins, and they were in a competition of who could get a photo with me first.
Oh,
yeah.
Just congratulations to the winner of that.
Yep.
No good resumes.
They were
no prospects.
They had children and they were married. Chill.
No, I meant overall.
You were always trying to set me up.
Just trying to help out. Just trying to. I don't know if it's helping whoever that poor soul is ends up being, but
don't you have a son my age?
Yeah, I do.
I don't know what's the lesser of two evils there. I always get panicked because multiple times I've had people come up to me and they're like, "Do you know Jack Baldwin?" And I'm like, "Why?" Like, how old is your daughter?
That's why they're asking.
Anyway, Pocono this weekend, Tommy. I mean, I don't think anything special prep wise different. Just one car, I assume, for you guys.
Yep.
Matt, where are you at this weekend?
I'm tapped out.
What do you mean?
It's the first weekend I think I've had at home since February. This is the one.
Good for
Surely
you.
you're going
You're
somewhere.
going to be watching something on Flow, right?
Probably.
Good for you.
Have you heard about flowsports.link/DBC1 to go get your membership
Get
for
your
the
own
year?
subscription.
Nice. I mean, talk about that for a second because we talk about it here, but as a short track guy, I know that's where your heart and soul is, kind of like me and Tommy both. I mean, how awesome is Flow? Just bringing that to the forefront of race. You're seeing races and racetracks you'd probably never see in your lifetime, but now you can see them on a weekly basis.
I watched a Cars Tour race from Mexico City, and saying that out loud 5-10 years ago would have sounded like nuts.
Crazy.
And by the way, what a great race at Stafford last Friday night with Michael Christopher. That was an awesome
Yeah.
Awesome race.
Yeah, he got mad at me because Michael Christopher Jr. Won. He passed Jonathan Pulio on the last lap or 2 to go, whatever it was.
Yeah.
He hit a nice crossover move to get underneath him. So I just sent him a text, like a thumbs up, and he's like, "Man, I carved that guy's eyes out, and all you give me is a thumbs up." I was like, "I'm from in Mexico. Give me a break."
And drinking tequila.
But shout out to him. He did a great job. Obviously, him and his dad are two of the real core guys up there in the Northeast. So good to see him win. Looking forward to Pocono this week. We will be back next week. I have no idea who's on the show next week yet, but I'm sure we'll get somebody good round up. You're coming back next week, right? Because originally you were going to bail on me, but now you're coming home. So we'll be back next week, full cast, and some poor soul will be in that and Weaver share. Matt, thank you for joining us. Probably not the last time we'll see you in this room, but we appreciate you stopping by today.
No, thank y'all. I love the show. Love what you guys contribute to the sport, and big time pleasure to be here.
Yep. Thank you for coming, and we'll see everybody next week.
See y'all.